afternoon, guys. I'm Jerry Miller. Thank you kindly for joining us on the I Love CVille Show. Absolutely great to connect with you through our flagship show, the I Love CVille Show, which airs Monday through Friday from 12:30 to 1:30. We want to be the water cooler of conversation and content in Charlottesville and Central Virginia. That's our goal. We do it through a lens or a focus of education, entertainment, and enlightenment. You don't need to agree with us. You don't need to disagree with us, but we want you feeling something during this show, or if you listen and watch the program at your leisure on demand. This program and the I Love CVille Network in totality across all platforms is the second most followed brand in this region we call Central Virginia. Across all platforms, there's no one that has more reach and influence than the I Love CVille Network, except for the University of Virginia. We take that responsibility seriously. We get information passed to us on a daily basis from the elected officials that serve this area, from appointed officials that serve this area, from city leaders, real estate developers, bankers, financiers, attorneys, heads of nonprofits. And in some cases, they may be using the network to get a message out to the community. In some cases, they may be relaying information to us because they're passionate about it. We vet what they say, and we consider the angle they approach us with, and we choose whether or not we're going to pass that information on to you. Trusted sources in 25 years of living, working, and breathing in this community, and I am now 25 years in, ladies and gentlemen, to Charlottesville and Albemarle County. A lot we're going to cover on the program, including the University of Virginia stalling, potentially ignoring, a borderline snubbing State Senator Creigh Deeds, who had a August 15th deadline for the rector and vice rector of the University of Virginia to answer his very specific and pointed 46 questions. Questions focused on Jim Ryan's resignation and the role the Department of Justice, Donald Trump's administration, and the current rector and vice rector played to get the University of Virginia beleaguered and embattled President Jim Ryan out of Carr's Hill. The day the 46 questions were expected to be answered, 46 questions that were presented to the most influential, one of the most influential boards in the Commonwealth, the folks that were expected to answer these questions, the leader, the rector, and the second leader, the vice rector, they told Creigh Deeds, we need an extension. This is synonymous with the English teacher in 11th grade, the history teacher in 10th grade, the Spanish teacher in 12th grade, asking their students, demanding their students to submit a 5-page term paper, offering weeks to do the 5-page term paper, and then when the 5-page term paper was due, the student comes into the classroom, head down, feet shuffling, on bended knee, asking the teacher for an extension. What does this make Creigh Deeds look like? Is this the same playbook the Board of Visitors utilized when Donald Trump and the Department of Justice demanded that diversity, equity, and inclusion be eradicated from Thomas Jefferson's University? And if they learned anything from that playbook of stall, ignore, rebrand, stall, snub, it's that X's and O's strategy does not work. We'll talk about that today on the I Love CVille Show. I want to give some insight into the search firm that will help the University of Virginia hire its next president, the 10th president in UVA history. The search firm gets paid big-time dollars for this. The dollar amount the University of Virginia will allocate to this third-party search firm is about a third of what a new president will make over the course of 1 year. Jim Ryan's making a million smackaroos. That means if that pay scale continues to the 10th president, that search firm is going to make about $333,000, $350,000, ladies and gentlemen, to help the University of Virginia vet some candidates and interview some people. We'll talk about that today. We have some intel on the Glenmore explosion that absolutely rocked Keswick, the gated community of Glenmore, Charlottesville, and Albemarle County. Judah Wickhauer's pastor standing 100 feet away from the explosion site. Judah Wickhauer's pastor 100 feet away standing from an explosion site that left one person dead, another individual severely burned and now in the burn unit at Virginia Commonwealth University, in a closely knit neighborhood, ravaged and now rallying around death and destruction. We'll talk on today's program about a report recently issued where 52% of households in the city of Charlottesville cannot afford to live in the city. And I'm going to ask you, the viewer and listener, why is affordability in Charlottesville City worsening? We'll have a conversation about restaurant news. Renovations now underway at Tubby's restaurant. Remember, Tubby's closed. They actually had a pennies on the dollar live auction for their furniture, fixtures, and equipment some weeks ago, and now remodeling underway for what is going to be the newest brand, the newest iteration of a restaurant on East High Street. And ladies and gentlemen, we have a new Belmont restaurant that is up and running and about to grand open, a steakhouse next to Mas Tapas. Goodness gracious, so much to cover on the program. We'll give some love to John Vermillion and Andrew Vermillion at Charlottesville Sanitary Supply. The Vermillion family are 5 generations strong in Albemarle County. Their business, Charlottesville Sanitary Supply, 3 generations strong. Online at charlottesvillesanitarysupply.com. Located on East High Street, Charlottesville Sanitary Supply is who you call for anything sanitary related, anything swimming pool related, anything vacuum related. They have a mechanic on site if your vacuum breaks, if your pool robot breaks, at Charlottesville Sanitary Supply and the Vermillion family, ladies and gentlemen. Judah Wickhauer, studio camera and a 2-shot, a trusted voice in Charlottesville and in Central Virginia, a man who can walk the downtown mall and command the attention of men and women alike, a guy who goes to Jack Brown's to order cold beers and eats, what's your burger of choice? Is it the Greg Brady?
No, I'd have to look at their menu again. It's not the Greg Brady though.
You don't remember the burger you get at Jack Brown's?
It's been a while since I've had.
You don't have to go down the rabbit hole of looking. We have other things we got to talk about on today's program. Gosh, we have a loaded program. I want to remind the viewers and listeners that in September, next month, City Council is going to have a conversation on the dais where they potentially could empower either the police department or the Parks and Recs department or someone in City Hall, some group in City Hall, to walk up and down the streets of the city of Charlottesville and to repossess the possessions, repo the possessions of the homeless that are camping and living in spots they should not. In September, Brian Pinkston, Juan Diego Wade, Lloyd Snook, Natalie Ostrin, and Michael Payne will have a conversation on the dais. A conversation that was influenced by an executive order issued by Donald Trump, where local jurisdictions now have more power to, air quotes, manage the homeless and potentially, air quotes, clean up the streets by taking the possessions of the homeless that are sleeping in the vestibules, the storefronts, the benches, areas they should not be sleeping in. City Hall, Charlottesville City Council, do you have the balls to pass any policy as it applies to cleaning up the unsafe streets of Charlottesville City? We're going to be holding you accountable. Which headline most intrigues you and why today on the rundown?
That would have been a pretty good headline. I think that I'm interested in what Creigh Deeds is thinking. I think we differ on how I think we see him responding to this.
You don't think City Council is going to have the balls, the cojones, the stones to pass policy for Parks and Rec or the Charlottesville Police Department to repo the possessions of the houseless as a discouragement tool to clean up streets in Charlottesville that need cleaning up?
I think there is the slimmest of slim chances that something like that goes through City Council.
Very interesting. September, that conversation will be on the docket. We start the show with Senator Creigh Deeds. John Blair's got commentary on Creigh Deeds. We'll get to that in a matter of moments. He had a deadline of this past Friday, August 15th, where 46 questions were directly presented to the rector and vice rector of one of the most powerful, influential, prestigious boards in the Commonwealth. And the rector, Rachel Sheridan, and the vice rector both scuttlebutted as cahoots members of Jim Ryan's ouster in conjunction with the DOJ. The rector and vice rector, on the day of the deadline, said, Creigh Deeds, we need an extension, as if they were 16-year-old children in Chris Joyce's AP US history class, tasked with the responsibility of a 10-page term paper on the Civil War. Instead of 11th grade Jerry Miller in AP US history going into Chris Joyce's AP history class and saying, Mr. Joyce, I need an extension despite the weeks that you gave me to prepare for this paper. I never did that, and I got an A on that term paper. The rector and vice rector, hat in hand, went to Creigh Deeds and said, Senator, we need more time. We're not prepared to answer your questions. Is it a good look? Is it a bad look? Is it the same playbook they used with the Department of Justice? Does it make Creigh Deeds look weak? Does it make the BOV look like they have something to hide? Where do you want to go?
The same playbook they used with the Department of Justice that they're purportedly working with. I think with all the politics surrounding this, I'm sure Creigh Deeds knows that they probably had a lot of discussions with their legal teams, both personal and whatever they have available to the Board of Visitors. And I'm guessing that he understands that he had a big ask despite the amount of time that he gave them. And this is not something that he was just going to get since we're using the example of homework, he wasn't just going to have a 5-page essay turned in on his desk Friday afternoon, and that would be the end of it.
So University of Virginia students who are giving a syllabus in the beginning of the semester, a syllabus provided by Ken Elzinga, Lou Bloomfield, Larry Sabato, any of the esteemed professors at the University of Virginia. A syllabus that has clear deadlines. On the 1st of October, your 10-page term paper is due. No excuses. Those students are supposed to honor expectations and submit tasked homework. But the Board of Visitors, and specifically Rachel Sheridan and Porter Wilkinson, are able to ignore a state senator who tasked the rector and vice rector, who serve on a board for the betterment of the premier university in the Commonwealth. The rector and vice rector can, on the day of the deadline, ask for an extension, when if students do that, they're giving an F on the assignment.
It's an imperfect metaphor, considering the fact that the students sign up for the class, choose the classes that they want to take, and agree to the, to abide by whatever the teacher decides the class is going to entail, whereas
Au contraire, mon cher. Au contraire, mon cher. The board members signed up to be on this board.
did they?
They could have said no to Glenn Youngkin's appointment. They are not indentured servants or slaves.
I agree.
In some cases, they politicked to be on the board through donations or through shouldering up, elbowing up, schmoozing with the governor.
So despite all that, you're saying Creigh Deeds is the teacher here.
Creigh Deeds is more than the teacher. Creigh Deeds is state senator.
Yeah.
Creigh Deeds has got the Constitution.
Okay.
Creigh Deeds is... Creigh Deeds is the big DICK in the room.
Okay.
It's not the rector and vice rector, despite what they think. And if the board didn't realize, or Jim Ryan didn't realize, that ignoring and snubbing and stalling and putting your head in the sand and hoping it goes away, I mean, good God, that backfire, it imploded on UVA.
Yeah.
We learned through reporting from the Cavalier Daily that the University of Virginia, we learn through some commentary from the Jefferson Council, who was highlighting the CVille Bubble Twitter account, that the University of Virginia is getting $1.3 billion with a B dollars in federal funding a year. That number, a 2024 number. No wonder Jim Ryan resigned. The Daily Progress initially estimated that at $300 to $400 million a year. You and I were like $300 to $400 million a year from federal funds when it's a $5 billion plus budget per year. That's peanuts. Now we know that number's over $1 billion. Why in God's name would Jim Ryan and the Board of Visitors not, when the DOJ said jump, the BOV should have said how high? When the DOJ said, give me 10 push-ups, the BOV should have told the DOJ, I'll give you 15.
Wait, so is the BOV working with the DOJ or not?
Creigh Deeds is very much alleging that Rachel Sheridan and Porter Wilkinson, before they became rector and vice rector, while they were a Board of Visitors member, worked in cahoots with the Department of Justice to have Jim Ryan forced out of Cars Hill and the President's Mansion.
Yeah.
Creigh Deeds is literally saying on the record that I'm speaking with Board of Visitors members past and present, and people extremely close to the DOJ and the President's office, and these 46 questions in the timeline of events that I presented are based on intimate knowledge that people are passing on to me. Creigh Deeds has been a heavy hitter in Commonwealth political circles for a generation plus. This guy's not going to go to war and investigate unless he's got a hill he's very comfortable standing upon.
Yeah.
And this hill he's standing upon comfortably is rooted in a foundation of answers that he already knows. And when Sheridan and Wilkinson on the day of the deadline say, Creigh Deeds, we need more time, as if they were 10th graders, 11th graders in Chris Joyce's AP US history class, it offers the impression that those 10th and 11th graders in Chris Joyce's AP US history class are unprepared to turn in the assignment. Or worse, they're hiding something.
I suppose you could see it that way.
That look is horrendous and continues the malfeasance. It continues the arrogance. It continues a trail of cockiness, a trail of unwilling to answer the call of duty when people that are in positions of higher accountability or power are asking things of you. I don't get what's going on with Rachel Sheridan and Porter Wilkinson and the Board of Visitors. What are they hiding? And Creigh Deeds, your next step is a Freedom of Information Act request. And Creigh Deeds, your next step is to step on the gas and raise the MPHs over the speed limit. Because if you don't do that, Creigh Deeds, you look weak and sad. Rachel Sheridan and Porter Wilkinson, they're in the proverbial pickle.
If I had to guess, I would say those 46 questions are being
Vetted and passed along with attorneys,
vetted.
chitter-chatted back and forth with lawyers to provide them the safest answers possible, far from legal exposure. Is that what you're going to say?
Something like that.
Of course.
But yeah, 100%.
And that right there is cause for further investigation.
I mean,
What are they hiding?
I don't know how much more you can investigate that, but
If you don't investigate it anymore, Spamberger gets in office, malfeasance, they're done and they're out. And Sheridan and Wilkinson's legacy
And if you
on
do-
the Board of Visitors will forever be tainted. Like that rug at my house when our first dog, Lucy, constantly went to the bathroom on, and we couldn't keep her from doing it at the end of her life. Tainted and stained. John Blair's got comments. Number 2 in the family. In fairness to Senator Deeds, I would point to Virginia Code Section 30-10. Only the state senator or a committee can subpoena documents or compel testimony from someone. An individual senator does not have that power, so I don't think he's weak if they don't answer his questions. I'll ask John Blair this question. Can Creigh Deeds subpoena all the communications with Sheridan and Wilkinson during the resignation, around the time of Jim Ryan's resignation? Can Creigh Deeds Freedom of Information Act request every iota of communication with Rachel Sheridan and Porter Wilkinson, with the Department of Justice, with each other, anything tied to Jim Ryan in the last 12 months?
I'm pretty sure he can, because he as much as says that he chose not to this time.
And he said he chose not to because that offers the perception of aggressiveness.
He didn't want to be confrontational.
So Creigh Deeds chooses to be the Southern gentleman politician and ask for the answers that he already knows. And if they choose to ignore, he will just FOIA them and get them himself. And if he FOIAs them and gets them himself, doesn't he have the answers to the 46 questions anyway?
Potentially.
Then why not provide it?
Because they're letting their lawyers go over the answers.
Unbelievable.
I mean, do you honestly think that these people are just going to give freely any and all information without any vetting of what the answers may mean in the larger context of what's going on at UVA?
When the senator can already get that information already?
Confrontationally and not...
Is a FOIA confrontationally?
He said it himself.
He's playing a game of politics. Is doing a Freedom of Information Act request confrontational? Or is it...
In his own words, a FOIA request is more confrontational in my view.
That's called politics. I'm going to ask you, Judah Wickower, a question. If someone does a Freedom of Information Act request, do you personally find that confrontational?
Yes.
Wow.
Especially in this situation.
I find that my right, my responsibility.
Well, of course you do.
I find a taxpayer, a student, alumni, an average Joe or an average Karen asking questions to things we should have transparency about our duty.
That's why he's asking the questions.
Go with the FOIA. I don't get the strategy from Sheridan and Wilkinson for stalling.
Okay.
Because he's going to get it anyway.
Yeah. In some form or another.
He's no dummy.
But
How long has Creigh Deeds been in office? And
Asking-
viewers and listeners, we'll ask your questions. Go ahead.
asking questions and getting answers is a very different beast than FOIA and than trying to get a FOIA on what may not be, not all that information may be readily available in recorded format.
I totally agree. It's like when our 7-year-old does something wrong, and we ask our 7-year-old, "Did you do this?" And when our 7-year-old admits, when I ask him, and I already know he did it, but I ask him, did you do this? And if he says, and he looks me in the eye, Dad, yes, I did do this, and I'm sorry and I apologize.
So
my punishment with that is much more forgiving than when he looks me in the eye and says, no, Dad, I did not do that. Or no, Dad, I'm not sure if I did that. Or ignores my question.
And so why do you think a FOIA request would be a better way to deal with this situation?
Because the FOIA, if he's Creigh Deeds, he gets the answers immediately instead of playing this
so
song and dance.
How do you FOIA request the information about your child?
Creigh Deeds can ask for the email correspondence, the meeting correspondence, and set a time frame and said, give me everything tied to this. Someone FOIA'd police camera video footage of Burt Ellis interacting with UVA corner policemen from years ago and used it to stain Burt Ellis and give Youngkin ammunition to get him fired from the Board of Visitors. And that was years ago. Mm-hmm. The stuff Creigh Deeds is asking about is months ago. And it's tied to the 9th president of the University of Virginia's ouster.
But do you know all of that information is in a format that is FOIA-able?
There's one way to find out.
Yeah.
The FOIA.
Yeah.
Viewers and listeners, comments coming in. Vanessa Parkhill agrees that Creigh Deeds has the right to inquire. She asked the question, is responding to the DOJ inquiry equivalent to being in cahoots with the DOJ? Kevin Yancey says this is utter overreach. The DOJ is not the controlling body of the BOV. Do you want to handle a response to Kevin Yancey's statements that the DOJ has no jurisdiction of any Board of Visitors member and should have no influence or control over the BOV? I know what your my response would be to that. What's your response?
The DOJ has no... I'd say it's probably true. That doesn't mean that they have or... how does that...
There's a very succinct answer to this.
Okay, go ahead.
The DOJ, Kevin Yancey says, is not the controlling body of the BOV, and they have no jurisdiction or influence over the BOV. They should ignore them. What's the response that you say to Kevin Yancey there?
Is
$1.3 billion from the federal government is the response. It's very succinct. Kevin Yancey, you say the Department of Justice has no influence or control or say over UVA and the BOV. If UVA says that to the federal government would say, do you want $1.3 billion? Your operating budget is $5 billion plus. Do you want 23 or 4% of your operating budget this year? Then give us the effing answers we want.
Wait, is Creigh Deeds working for the DOJ?
No, you're missing it. Okay. Kevin Yancey is leaving a comment that
I know.
The DOJ should have no influence or say over the BOV, and the BOV should do nothing that the DOJ says. And my response to the man in Waynesboro, the mayor of Waynesboro, Kevin Yancey himself is, you say that to the Trump administration of the DOJ, and you risk $1.3 billion. It's why Jim Ryan resigned. Mm-hmm. Logan Wells Claylow, welcome to the broadcast. Viewers and listeners, let us know your thoughts. We'll put them in the feed. Comments coming in faster than I can keep up. What's the extent of the extension that Creigh Deeds should offer now without looking weak? How long should Creigh Deeds wait before doing the FOIA? Because Creigh Deeds, who's been in office for... How long has this man been in office? Jim Hingley, this is right up your alley. This man has been in office since 1992. He's been in office since Deeds won election to the Virginia House of Delegates in 1991 by defeating incumbent Emmert Hanger 57% to 41%. This started a 9-year career in the Virginia House of Delegates. Deeds won a special state Senate selection in 2001. This dude's been in office longer than some of our viewers and listeners have been alive. You don't have that kind of tenure and consistency and sustainability without being able to...
Throw your weight around?
Right. Unbelievable. Next headline, what do you got?
UVA to hire search firm for next president.
I'm going to spend 90 seconds on this one. The University of Virginia, as you put that lower third on screen, is hiring its 10th president. For its last 2 hires, Terry Sullivan and Jim Ryan, the Board of Visitors utilized a search firm, like a headhunter firm, to help the university create a short list of candidates.
Yeah.
They're going to do that again, the University of Virginia. In that third-party search firm, there's a standard compensation method, and it's equivalent to 1/3 of 1 year's salary. If you're making $1 million, $333,000 paid to the search firm. That seems to me like money extremely well spent.
Yeah.
It also is something we, the viewer and listener, us, the Albemarle County, Charlottesville, and Central Virginian, and folks that are alumni or follow the University of Virginia closely should know. A third-party search firm will be hired to hire the 10th president of the University of Virginia, just like a third-party search firm was used to hire the 8th and 9th president of the University of Virginia. And that third-party search firm will be paid 33%, a third of 1 year salary. Next headline, Judah Wickower, what do you got?
I've heard that one of my pastors, was standing very near the house when the explosion happened.
We're going to get to that headline in a matter of moments. You're going to lead with the commentary here. Someone that you trust was 100 feet away from the Glenmore explosion that took one life.
Less than 100 feet.
Less than 100 feet away from the explosion, and sent another person to the burn victim at VCU.
And I believe
Neil Williamson, watching the program, he says, Judah Wickower, isn't life an imperfect metaphor?
It very much is.
Bill McChesney says Creigh deeds should draw Mark Warner and Tim Kaine into the conversation. Vanessa Parkhill pushes back on Kevin Yancey, as Vanessa Parkhill should, because she's a smart person. Federal agencies have the right to inquire when federal money is involved, Kevin Yancey. If the university does not want to be held accountable in that way, they should operate without federal funds like Hillsdale College. Jason Howard, welcome to the broadcast. Print, radio, and television all over this, including print from Richmond. James Watson says, hire Tony Bennett for UVA president, except he would not like all the politics. I had this conversation yesterday with a booster within the athletic department. And this booster within the athletic department said if Tony Elliott does not perform this year, not only will Tony Elliott and his coaching staff be fired, but Carla Williams will be on the chopping block herself.
Wow.
Nearly $30 million the salary cap for players alone on this year's football roster. Nearly $30 million spent. The University of Virginia is a 12.5-point favorite with Coastal Carolina hitting Scott Stadium on August 30th, a 6 o'clock kick. The booster said if Elliott does not perform, he's fired, the staff is fired, and the talk will be Carla Williams' ouster as well, especially with Jim Ryan no longer there to serve as her Teflon and bulletproof vests. The next headline, Judah Wickower is tied to a man that Judah trusts, an assistant pastor at Judah's church, a man Judah knows. Judah, the show is yours. Set the stage.
I'm not sure why my trust in him matters, but I've heard that he was...
You're not sure why the trust in someone matters when you're relaying what they have to say to a very large viewing and listening audience?
I haven't heard this from him.
Okay. Wait.
It's secondhand
Does a
information.
good job of setting the stage here.
I mean, I told you at the very start that I heard that he was standing very
You heard
close
this from whom?
from my parents.
Your parents heard this from whom?
I would imagine from... they heard it from him.
So the assistant pastor tells your mom and dad this story.
Something like that.
The assistant pastor tells your mom and dad this story about an explosion in Glenmore that has rocked our community. And now you are passing along the information to thousands of people on the show.
He was knocked off his feet.
How close was he to the explosion site?
I don't have an exact measurement. The way it was explained to me is that he said from here to, and they were at church when he was telling them this. My dad said the measurement he gave was about 60 feet, give or take, and he was there when it happened. He was knocked off his feet. Getting up, he went and called out for either of the two people who were going into the residence, and heard the voice of the man, helped uncover him, pull him out. As the papers have reported, the fire department was there within 4 minutes, so I believe that he was, helping this guy out of the rubble when they arrived, and it sounds to me like, with how close he was, everybody in that neighborhood was extremely blessed.
100%. There's one of the media outlets reported today. They interviewed a neighbor on Ferndown, and this neighbor on Ferndown, doors away, houses away from the explosion site, said the windows were shattered in his house, and the explosion was so significant that the door, his front door, the door blew off the hinges on his house.
Wow.
I mean, think about that.
We're having connection issues.
I'm not seeing that on my end.
Okay, well, that's good. Just wanted to let you know that I'm seeing some issues if anything happens.
It looks like we're off air here.
I'm showing us still live.
All right, let's continue to go for an archive show if we do still go live. I do see it off on Facebook, which is terribly unfortunate.
Yeah, I'm seeing issues on switchboard. Maybe if it's disconnected already. Yeah.
Disconnected?
Yeah, disconnected.
Completely.
Looks that way.
Can you reconnect?
I mean, I can't reconnect to the... I can reconnect. I can go live again.
Yeah,
But it'll be a separate connection.
obviously.
All right. I'm starting them now.
And offer some commentary, viewers and listeners.
All right, we are getting the connections back up. I'm waiting to see if they're connecting, if we're actually going live on any of these. It looks like Twitter, your personal,
Yep. Seeing mine back up.
LinkedIn, I Love CVille.
All All right, connection issues here with the internet service provider.
YouTube.
A one-time very reliable internet service provider has had some unreliable internet service provider providability. Is providability a word?
It is now.
Slowly getting back online. We're going to set the stage of where we were. Viewers and listeners, we appreciate you bearing with us. I got anonymous commentary coming in that we're going to get through from Deep Throat and another person that I trust. Live on I Love CVille as well right now, Judah.
Yeah.
Going live across the board again?
With some exceptions, yes. We should be live on most of our...
Live on LinkedIn again. Viewers and listeners, we apologize for the restart of the show. We are at the mercy of an internet service provider that was extremely rock solid in years past, that has been somewhat inconsistent, not just with us, but with other clients of late. And no, it's not Comcast. Your pastor 100 feet away, less than 100 feet away from the explosion site, your pastor pulled the man who's in the burn unit out of the rubble of the house that was blown up, but what is anticipated to be a gas leak.
Yeah, that's the way it's sounding at this point.
Your pastor sounds like he is fortunate to be alive.
Very fortunate.
By the grace of God is alive.
I said a prayer thanking the Lord for my pastor's life.
Yeah.
And I'll say quite a few more before I see him on Sunday.
By the grace of God, your assistant pastor is alive. The local media interviewed a homeowner on Ferndown who said that the explosion was so significant that his windows were blown out, and that the hinges on his front door, the door was blown off the hinges.
Man.
I have spoken with multiple general contractors who watched the show yesterday. They have highlighted the significance of an explosion like this is not cosmetic.
Yeah.
It's foundational.
Yeah. As we saw in the earthquake years ago, where it didn't seem like all that much, especially to someone with history in California or anywhere else that regularly gets earthquakes. But we did have pictures of foundations of brick walls cracked because of the force, and so yeah, definitely.
I got this message this morning that every homeowner should be extremely cautious right now with dealing with their insurance provider or adjuster. Every homeowner on Ferndown should have an attorney work on their behalf, because the damage or the significance of the damage will be not known for some time. And the primary concern with the homes on Ferndown is going to be foundational damage that you can't see with the naked eye, but instead would require some kind of structural engineer to offer a report. And then, once a structural engineer's report is provided, do you negotiate with insurance providers?
Yeah, that's good advice.
Literal advice from a general contractor that watches the program routinely. He is encouraging, and he reached out to me not to solicit people's business, although I've had a handful of general contractors reach out to me to go with the path of, we're here to help. One general contractor is already on Ferndown offering free estimates. There's a fine line with help, and then there's a fine line with
chasing the ambulances.
Being an ambulance chaser. It's a very fine line. But this general contractor, who's about established as it gets in this community, who doesn't need the business, literally texted me and says, I watch the show every day. You need to tell your viewers and listeners that they should not be negotiating with any kind of insurance representation right now. That until they get a structural engineer's report and until that report has been vetted or reviewed by their legal counsel, no negotiation should be done. Because if you're doing a settlement based on damage above the earth, that is a fraction of the cost. This general counsel is alluding that many of these houses near the explosion site are absolute total teardowns and the foundation has to be redone.
Yeah.
I want you to think about that.
Yeah. Sadly, I wouldn't be surprised.
William McChesney says the fire department is the East Rivanna Fire Station next to Glenmore. That's why they were there so quickly. He's right.
Yeah.
I am glad someone that you trust is okay, Judah Wickower.
As am I.
Next headline, what do you got?
Reports are out that 52% of households cannot afford Charlottesville.
You set the stage on this one.
This is a report not leaked, but this is a report from what's it called? I'm sorry. This is a report from the Strategic Outcome Area Report for Economic Prosperity, which comes out of Charlottesville, and it's showing more than half of households in the city are struggling to afford the cost of living. And citywide initiatives are working to address those struggles, but the numbers, August's report shows that 52.5% of households are not earning enough to afford the cost of living in the city. Of that number, 22.5% of households are below the poverty level, while 30% are considered, and I'd never heard this term before, ALICE, stands for Asset Limited, Income Constrained, Employed. So 30% of this number are considered asset limited, income constrained, and employed. ALICE households make a yearly income that puts them above the poverty level, but it's not high enough to adequately afford the cost of living in the area. The article quotes our good friend, Neil Williamson, who talks about financial insecurity, being worried about the day-to-day, being worried about whether you're going to have...
Someone tag Neil Williamson. Someone bring Neil Williamson to the mix. He was watching earlier. Get Neil Williamson back in the mix. DM Neil Williamson. Go ahead.
People worrying about whether they'll have their job in 12 months, much less in 1 month. This isn't a direct quote, but paraphrased in the article. Williamson says the number of households struggling in Charlottesville is surprising, but not unheard of in urban areas, which I guess you could call Charlottesville an urban area. Although when I think urban areas, I tend to think of places like Richmond, D.C., Los Angeles, New York City.
I'm going to get to Deep Throat's comments here in a matter of moments on this report. Keep going. Anything else? Get Neil Williamson in the mix.
The report says that 9,500, almost 9,600 households are surviving but not thriving in Charlottesville.
This one hits close to home. Deep Throat, number one in the family. His photo on screen. Smart guy, super smart guy, super smart guy.
No doubt.
By the way, I read that Charlottesville Opportunity Report, or whatever they call it. Deep Throat says, his words, that's incompetent analysis. It does not screen out student households. That report is worthless. They crow about 4,000 households in poverty, but guess what? 1,500 of these are student households. They are not in poverty. They are just supported by loans, grants, and their parents. And if they were, they aren't CVille City's problems to solve. Deep Throat also says this. Is this some brainstorm? No. Census Bureau studied this distortion in 2017 and pointed out CVille City of one of the counties where poverty statistics are most distorted. Do the people who do these studies know how to use Google? Do they know how to read? To do addition and subtraction? He is so sick of how stupid city government is. Can they screen for an 85 IQ? It would save a lot of time. The Alice statistics only consider cash income, exclude government benefits. This is meaningless and incompetent. And he also adds deep throat, which you can see is passionate about this topic. Let's get back to the poverty number. 4,000 they cite in that report. 1,500 are student households. That leaves 2,500. Of those 2,500, 1,300 live in subsidized houses, 1,360 units. So we are talking about only 1,200 households that are non-student and dealing with market housing costs. Doesn't that look a little different now?
This is why we love having our amazing
100%.
audience.
This is why we like the show.
Yeah.
There's a guy that...
Thank you for parsing that information for us, Deep Throat.
100%.
We truly appreciate your valuable insights.
There it is. He literally says that report cites 4,000, right? 4,000.
I'm not seeing the 4,000 number here, but I'm not looking at the actual report.
1,500 of those 4,000 in the report are UVA student households. That leaves 2,500. Of those 2,500, 1,360 are subsidized households. So we're talking about 1,200 households in Charlottesville City. Makes the report look a lot different. And he concludes that a high schooler with a free weekend and some competence on Google could provide more legitimate data with that report.
Nice.
I'll still say this. Affordability in Charlottesville City and affordability in Albemarle County is not getting better.
Definitely not.
I'll say this. Affordability in Charlottesville City and affordability in Albemarle County will be worse next year at this time than it is this year at this time.
Most likely.
And I will say this. Affordability in Charlottesville City and affordability in Albemarle County will be considerably worse, as Weldon Cooper predicts the population is going to dramatically uptick over the next generation.
Yeah.
The flip side to everything I just said is we live in a community where people want to live. So if you're able to rope off or circle off or claim your little slice of manifest destiny in Charlottesville and Albemarle County, and you're able to pay for it, and you're able to maintain it, then you got something really good.
No doubt.
Because the alternative to something like that is like Petersburg,
flying till you qualify.
Portsmouth, Petersburg is the alternative. Portions of Newport News, southwestern Virginia portions is the alternative. Next headline, Judah Wickower. I got a phone call in 15 minutes with a developer that's looking to partner.
Let's see. Tubby's Reno underway, as well as
Conan Owen, Sir Speedy of Central Virginia. Conan Owen, ladies and gentlemen. If you have a logo and you need visibility for it, Conan Owen and Sir Speedy of Central Virginia can help you scale that logo. Stickers, signage, window decal, direct mail, lanyards, passes, badges, pamphlets, trifolds, the step and repeat banner directly behind me. Sir Speedy of Central Virginia, locally owned and operated. Conan Owen. He sent me this information on Tubby's. Before I get to that, Neil Williamson pushes back on Deep Throat. He says, the link to the City Council PowerPoint on economic vitality can be found on a link which he shared in the comment section of my personal Facebook page. Follow me on Facebook, facebook.com/Jerry Miller Now. Follow me on Facebook, facebook.com/Jerry Miller Now, where you can find a link to the report that Deep Throat that Neil Williamson has shared. Neil Williamson and Deep Throat, two extremely intelligent people.
100%.
James Watson says, you got to keep in mind, though, some people do love living in the surrounding counties, even though Charlottesville is the center of most in-person jobs and the entertainment district. He's 100% right.
Yeah.
Conan Owen sent me this information via text message. He said they are currently remodeling and renovating Tubby's on East High Street. Renovations underway.
Does he mention anything about what the renovation is for?
He does not. But he does say they are working and remodeling and renovating Tubby's restaurant that closed a handful of weeks ago and was in such dire straits that they had a furniture, fixtures, and equipment live auction for pennies on the dollar on a Saturday in their restaurant. He also sent me a screenshot. The steakhouse that's opening next to Mas Tapas is now called the Jervey. The Jervey. Jervey? How do you think you say this word? Jervey? Gervais? I would say Gervais, right?
Jervey? Maybe they meant to spell Jersey.
The Jervey? The Gervais? They have an Instagram post where they show a picture of a grandmother, and then they have this copy. This grandmother, you can follow them on Instagram. The Jervey, Jervey. Mother of 6, grandmother of 8, great-grandmother of 11. Jean Gervais Fraser lived every moment of her 104 years. She was the wife to 2 husbands who fought on the line during World War II, one not returning. She went from beauty pageant queen like highs to pitching pennies in order to put food on her family's table like lows. She credited her long life to having a great attitude in coffee, lots and lots of coffee. The Gervais invokes Jean's belief that every day can be a good day and that any moment in life can be turned into a good experience. Our Belmont Steakhouse combines modern style with a neighborhood coziness that complements the vibrant surrounding hospitality scene. It's about delicious food, warm conviviality. Thank you, conviviality. There's an SAT word. And great people. Welcome. The Jervey?
I'm going with the Jervey, but
You're going Jervey? I'll go with you. You're often right on this. I'm going with the Jervey then too. Next to Mas Tapas, I think that was the W.E. Brown at one time. And then they did a post one day ago. We are hiring. Opening is nearly upon us. Most of our core opening staff is in place, but there are a few positions to fill. Chefs, line cooks, servers, bartenders, dishwashers, food runners, back waiters, prep cooks. It sounds like a lot of staff right there. If you're a professional
that
restaurant...
doesn't sound like a few positions left.
If you're a professional restaurant person looking for a change of scenery, we want to hear from you. The Jervey at gmail.com with a brief intro, and we'll get back to you by the end of the week.
Interesting.
Love it.
Yeah.
Want any small business to do well. Best of luck to a cozy steakhouse in Belmont. Any other things we need to cover on the show?
Let's see. UVA football.
12.5-point favorites against Coastal Carolina. This comment comes in via direct message. This person asked for anonymity. I believe players deserve additional funding, but nearly $30 million for one single year of play. I'm going to do some back-of-the-envelope math. That could endow 50 full rides for in-state students annually into perpetuity. Kind of crazy when you think of how some people are donating money. Same funds could change the lives of 50 students every year in perpetuity, as opposed to 85 football players for 12 or 13 games.
Yeah.
Wow. Mm-hmm. I'm going to respond to that during the show. This was fantastic.
It's great when we...
Seriously, dude.
It's great when we have our priorities pointed out to us.
And then I'm going to give him a heart emoji. Heart emoji. This was fantastic. Seriously, dude. $30 million salary cap for the football team and this roster could have endowed 50 full rides for in-state students in perpetuity, Judah.
Yeah.
Instead, it's going to a football team to play 12 games.
Yeah.
Wild times.
And they didn't even ask for their name on a building.
Was that a joke?
Yeah.
You really know how to deliver a joke.
Thank you.
Office space if you need it. I got somebody coming today at 2:15 that is going to potentially lease some office space from us, anywhere from $350 a month to $3,000, $4,000 a month. All price points in between. Executive office space in Charlottesville, Albemarle County, or Central Virginia. No one has access to more than yours truly. DM me, email me, call me. Matchmaker of executive office space. What we're doing right here. That's the 2 times edition of the I Love CVille show today. And it wasn't our fault, nor was it Judah's fault. And I'm not going to throw shade to the internet service provider that has been a partner in the past. James Watson, Deep Throat response to your comment. He says, James Watson points out something the yes in my backyard activists miss. Not everyone who lives outside the city and works inside are doing so for affordability. Albemarle County is actually more expensive on average. Many people prefer to live in a leafier setting than Charlottesville City. 100%. 100%. All right, that's all she wrote. So long, everybody.